Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Building Better Business Practice Management webinar series presented by the Florida State Oriental Medical Association. And tonight's topic, current legal landscape and future outlook for acupuncture businesses. And we're talking live with Chase Howard from the Florida Healthcare Law Firm. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us and being able to support FSOMA and support everything that we do. My name is Natalia Morrison. I am the Director of Communications for FSOMA. And just like you, I am also a licensed acupuncturist. And I'm really excited to have tonight Chase with us. We met in person a couple of weeks ago. He's located in Delray, which is beautiful, guys. I had never been there before. I fell in love. It was like Key West, but like so much more relaxed and just beautiful, and a lot less cars. I'm in Miami. So before we go ahead and start our chat, I just wanted to make sure you all were familiar with the icons that we're going to be using and how we're going to be flowing through tonight's presentation, which is different from what you are used to. So if you guys hover over the bottom of your screen, whether you're on your iPad or computer screen or phone, just hit the chat icon and make sure that you respond to all panelists and all attendees if you want your colleagues to see. And hit there and let us know where you're located. So I'm in Miami, and like I said, Chase is in Delray. And we would love to see where all of you are from. What part of Florida? And if you're not from Florida, where are you located tonight? Hi, Kim. So great to see you. Orlando, yeah.
Natalia, I will second that. Delray Beach is, I think, a hidden gem on the southeast coast of Florida.
It is. I was completely like amazed as I was coming out of the highway into the main street. I was like, this is Key West, but so much better, right. Less cars. Everyone looks so relaxed and happy. And yeah. For me, it's very strange because I'm in the center of Miami.
Right.
And
I actually, yeah, I was living in Miami for about 8 years, and I just moved from the concrete jungle that it is to Delray because I was commuting up here and working up here. And you're right. Every time I got off the highway, it was relaxing. Even while in my car, it was a different vibe, a different feel. And then when I get back home to Miami, it was like, what Miami is, stressful and overcrowded, and everybody's trying to push you off the road. So
yes, it's true, and everyone's driving super fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's a good place to be.
Yes.
So,
and we have a couple other people. One is from Jacksonville, Fort Myers, and Dickie's also in Delray. Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dickie knows.
Yes. And he fits right in. He is so relaxed. He has really great energy. Hi, Dickie.
Good.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to continue with some housekeeping. So usually we do Q&A. Oh, and David, he's in Crystal River. Hi, David. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have more of a live interaction with us. This webinar is going to be in one way or another guided by your questions. Chase is going to do an overview of the legalities in Florida for our practice, but this is your time to do questions. And what we're going to do is that you're going to raise your hand, and that is at the bottom of your screen. You can just raise your hand or hit in the chat box, hey, I have a question. And I am going to turn on your mic and you'll be able to speak and say hi to us and ask your question directly to Chase, all right? So we're going to do that. If you don't feel comfortable and you would much rather just type in your question, you can type that into the Q&A or the chat. I will definitely be monitoring both since our format is a little bit different. All right, so I'm gonna hang out with you guys and I'm gonna learn as much as I can from Chase as well. And Chase, thank you so much for being here and sharing your time with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Natalia and I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks ago, like she said, at our offices in Delray Beach. And I think we had a really great conversation, kind of, the first time we were meeting in person, and we really wanted to establish this great relationship for the members. And, I think what we kind of realized and came up with, even if we didn't realize it at the moment, was, there's probably a lot to do and a lot to work on and discuss. And so that's really what I wanted this first interaction to be. I'll tell you about myself a little bit and talk about a couple things, but I think it's important to have feedback from the members, so you can tell us what you want and why is that. Because we put out, and I'll put out articles or a weekly question and answer on topics that affect you as practitioners in your business and your practice related to your license. If you've got leases and issues like that, whatever it is, we want to answer those questions for you. We want to make sure that you are out there focusing on your practice, and everything else that might be troubling you with business and healthcare and payer issues and things like that, and patients and employees. You've got people that can take care of that and can guide you, and you can do what you do best, and let us do what we do best. So that's the relationship we want. We can tell you everything you need to know, but you got to tell us too, what you need. So we're looking forward to it, and I think we're going to have a good time here. So a little bit more about me. I'm an attorney in Delray Beach. Went to the University of Miami School of Law, so I spent some time down in Miami, and recently moved up to the Boca area with my wife, so we could be closer to my office. And she's moving jobs up here too soon. So getting out of the concrete jungle of Miami and moving to something a little bit more peaceful. We are a firm of about 10 attorneys. We only focus, like our name says, on healthcare law. So healthcare businesses and healthcare professionals, and that's everybody and everything that's in the healthcare world. So it could be a physician, an acupuncturist, dentist, addiction treatment facilities. I work with what most people call medical spas. It could be veterinarians, athletic trainers, licensed therapists, you name it. If healthcare is part of their world, we're working with them, and it can be business owners or licensed professionals. So we're pretty full spectrum. Like I said, there's 10 of us, and we each sort of focus on different areas of healthcare law and the law in general. So, we say healthcare law, and we really focus our attention on understanding those laws and regulations and, statutes that affect the providers and the businesses. But we're also, traditional lawyers in that we work with compliance and transactional issues and payer issues. So when it comes to compliance, we help our clients obtain licensure or defend their licenses. We help our clients navigate, the regulations that are out there, whether it's, anti-kickback or patient brokering issues or fraud and abuse type statutes. When it comes to transactional work, we do everything from, business or practice startup all the way through a sale. So everything in between, whether that's bringing on, a new associate, or, you've got employment issues, or you have leasing, considerations or issues to deal with. Anything in between, all the way, like I said, through the sale of a business. So we apply what we know generally to the healthcare world, but we've got the tools and the resources to handle just about any type of case, or matter for that. Yeah. I've been in practice for a couple of years now, but we've got attorneys from 7 years up to 35 years. So whatever you need, we've got the resources for it. We've got the people for it. We've got a lot of creative minds there who have seen a lot of different, things in the healthcare industry. So, we'd love to share that. We love to put you in touch with our network of other professionals. So whatever you need from us, we're here and happy to help you guys out. When Natalia and I met a couple weeks ago, we were talking about kind of, the state of the industry, the state of where, acupuncturists, businesses are, and as an individual, where things are and how they're changing. And there's two things that I think are kind of big right now. And if you have questions about it, let's talk about it a little bit more. But one is, I think this happened back in July, kind of a big issue, and that's the issue of dry needling with physical therapists. And I think innovation is great in the healthcare world, and I've got physical therapists that are clients, but I'll also say that, there's time and place for when people can do stuff. And to relate it to another industry where scope of practice is kind of all over the place, and new people are coming in and doing different things, in medical spas, we have, nurses doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, or, other licensed or certified providers doing things that, they've pushed and they've had good representation in Congress and in the legislature. So it's really changed what other providers are doing. So I think the same thing, is happening here. There's a little bit of an encroachment, and the best thing I think on your end to do is really continue to educate patients and the public as to, who you are, what you do, and why you're the best at what you do. And that's really, good for the patients, right? It's good for ensuring that they're receiving, the best care. There's always going to be these encroachments, but I think it's a matter of showing that you're the experts, and everybody else that's doing it is, just doing it now. So, I don't know where that's going to go in the future. I don't know if there's going to be any sort of pushback from there, or trying to change that back, or relimit the scope, or put more restrictions on it. But I'm sure as time goes on, issues occur and then things change that way. So we'll see where it goes. We'll keep our eyes on it. But I think, really positioning yourselves as, experts in what you do will kind of keep the others out of, encroaching on your space and on what you do for people. And that's really help people. So everyone has their own space, and, best is to stay in it, obviously, but we're going to have these things. So, just do that repositioning and put content out there as best you can to, educate. I think we see that a lot in the legal world too, is, most lawyers are just, we go through law school and we don't really specialize until we get out. So you see people stepping into, different areas of the law, whether it's, construction or personal injury or healthcare or things like that. And they don't always have a full, grasp of the body, right, of everything that they're doing. So kind of the same thing here is, be the expert and show that you are the expert. And I think that'll mitigate a lot of the changes that'll come with the legislation that's been put out there.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
What's that?
Beautifully said. Education is the most important thing, and I'm sure that everyone that's watching us can relate to it. I mean, I've met people with different kinds of understanding of our profession, and most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I am educating and I am letting them know the range of possibility that is within my scope of practice, which most people don't understand. Most people think it's just for pain. And so this process of not having to, but wanting to also educate and share and open people's minds to the possibility of our profession is endless, and it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, Definitely. And you know, I'll be honest, I'm new to your profession too, in a sense, and you know, learning what scope of practice is, and seeing how physical therapists, you know, cross over kind of, you know, I, I'm glad I've had to educate about your profession, because now I know, hey, this is kind of, you know, that overstepping of boundaries, and it's a little bit different to see. And I've seen physical therapists in the past, before legislation was out, you know, offering dry needling. So people push these boundaries way before, and if they know what they're doing, great. But still, it's you know, you want to go to an expert. You want to go to somebody who's been doing it for a long time in a field that's been around for, you know, thousands of years, right? So it's been around so long, then someone new comes in and kind of changes it. It's upsetting. So being the expert, being the educator, I think will always keep you kind of at the forefront and on top of those things. And that goes for anything that, you know, and anyone that ends up encroaching. And it'll happen, it'll continue to happen, and push and push. And we see it in, you know, in the nursing world, for better or worse. You know, nurse practitioners are going to have autonomous practice soon in certain areas, and that's going to encroach on, you know, primary care physicians and other things. So, you know, maybe there's a need for it, but, you know, you have to be really careful about who you're going to, and how they're educated, and how you're educating the public on who is really the best at it. So it'll be interesting to see how it continues to evolve. The other, I think, big exciting thing is the opportunity for Medicare coverage. You know, there's some restrictions with it, but just like anything, I think it's an opportunity to innovate and to build, and to, you know, expand practices and expand relationships. You know, and it's putting you in the same realm and world as other licensed healthcare professionals, which I think is great. I think that collaboration is only good for an industry and for a field, because there's, you know, crossover on education, there's crossover on resources, and most importantly, there's you know, focus on patient care and patient well-being. And there's, you know, options for treatment, you know, other than just here's some pills and you know, go enjoy it. So I think that's a really great thing in the field, that I think it's I think more people are becoming interested and curious and open to you know, Oriental medicine, that maybe in the past might not have been as mainstream, whatever that may be, from, you know, social media, or, you know, other people using it. But for something that's been around so long, it's really talked about, you know, quite a bit now, and there's recognition on all levels, and that includes, you know, Medicare and insurance reimbursement and things like that. So I think that's a great opportunity. I think, you know, getting educated on those systems and what's required, and the restrictions that are still in place is hugely important, and can be hugely beneficial to your practices. So you know, if you have questions on that, you know, we can put out articles and videos, and maybe do a more in-depth, deep dive on setting up for those things, and we'd love to do that. So let us know. But, you know, what comes with that too is, you know, what comes with innovation is risk, I think, too, obviously, and you have to be a risk taker. But one of the other things we talked about at our lunch, Natalia, was, you know, how do people protect their licenses? How do they protect what they've built? And one of the, you know, I think core practices of our firm is helping people properly start their business. And when I say properly, I mean, you know, set it up in a way that they're protecting themselves, and protecting their businesses, protecting their assets, protecting their licenses. And I see it all the time. You know, a licensed professional, they go out and they try to start their practice, and they run into you know, dozens of issues, whether it be with, you know, a lease, or whether it be with how they set up their practice, or they've got employee issues, or they've got patient issues and things like that. And all you want to do and, and provide is good care, quality care to patients. And so these aren't things that you're taught in school, unfortunately.
No,
So,
not at all.
yeah. And, sometimes I feel so bad because when someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to open up a practice, what do I do? And we talk about opening, a corporation or an LLC, and they've never even heard of it. And so, I think these professional schools are doing a bad job sometimes of really preparing people for, what happens after you've trained and you've learned everything. How can you actually run a business, as much as you don't want it to be a business? It's life's a business. So you've got to have these things in place and learn. And there's some bad people out there that, will take advantage of what you build. So, we spend a lot of time talking through structuring and making sure that, you're properly set up and protected. And the good thing in Florida is there's some great options with corporate structuring and LLCs. And if you do it right, you can, not only have the protection you need, but you can also have great tax advantages and things like that. So with all this innovation and crossover, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth, for, joint practices, for arrangements and things like that, that, are going to be examined and created and developed. And, doing it right from the beginning, this is your big piece of free advice for the night, but doing it right from the beginning is going to save you, a ton of money and a ton of headache in the future, because it's always, harder to clean up, things gone wrong or a mess, than it is to do it right from the beginning. And, if I could, tell every client that I'd rather them, do things right from the beginning than have them pay me or pay, another attorney or deal with the headache once it blows up, to clean it up after. So, getting those things in place, I think is hugely important. And we're happy to help, in any way, review things, structure things, and go deeper into that. But that's where I see a lot of issues in the healthcare world, is just being put out there on your own for the first time, and hopefully being able to figure it out, and not getting everything. So does anybody have any questions on that, on the business structuring side, or startup, or leasing issues?
Yeah, if you have a question, let us know. We can open your mic, or you can type in your question in the chat box or the Q&A. If you want to confirm something that you've already done, and you just want to make sure and confirm with Chase that you set it up right, and you have all your ducks in a row, you can also do that as well.
Yeah, and if you have a more personal question, you can, I think you can probably do a private message, and I can, answer it after, but I'll make sure you get my email too, and I'm happy to, answer some of those questions as well. One of the, other.
I have a question that came in.
Oh, yep.
All right, so David raised his hand. So David, I'm going to turn on your mic. Can you hear us, David?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
perfectly. Hi.
Hey, good evening. Hey, what I wanted to share with Chase and with the group listening is that for the most part, the people that are listening in tonight, and I saw Kimberly has a question, so I'll let her get to that in a second. As most of us are in practice, we probably, organized in some way, and I don't know what the average amount of time that we've been practicing for a while. So I want Chase to kind of work through these types of questions. People might reach out if they have questions about maybe reorganizing or expansions of stuff, but they've kind of been in practice for a while. I have in my mind, and one of the things that I wanted to make available to the membership was included students, and that I wanted to have the firm sort of, and this might not be the ideal opportunity for it, but at some point we'll plan events with our student members, and that will definitely prompt lots of these types of questions, because they're in that 5th or 6th semester where they're transitioning into the workforce in less than a year, and they need to solve a lot of those questions. But I was just going to say, we'll come up with, some areas of concentration, like Chase had suggested, diving in on things like Medicare or protecting your practice, and try to create some template for an education program going forward to address those things. And I was saying that really for the benefit of everybody listening, as well as for Chase, just so you have a little bit of an idea of how we a planned rollout, so that you don't feel like you're casting and it's hard to tell what kind of response we might get tonight on these questions, but we'll kind of fill them into silos and then pull people that have those questions related to those subjects into a room with you, kind of stretched out over the course of maybe 6 months. But we'll keep after it. And my real concentration on making a transition toward having a partner like the firm was this idea that Jason just touched on, was with greater opportunities that we're going to see with the Medicare inclusion for acupuncture, and now the Medicaid Advantage products, or the planned, the Medicaid, not state, but the managed plans in Florida, all cover acupuncture now. We're going to have sort of an expansion of the way we have responsibilities as covered entities, in a way that we have more and more business associates that have to do with how we manage and run our businesses. And we're at the beginning of a lot of these types of changes. And I wanted us to have a partner in place that would kind of grow with FSOMA and its members as subject matter experts in this way to help guide people going forward. But I'll step away, and Kimberly has an excellent question for you.
Thank you, David. No, I agree. I think it's a great opportunity, and I work with a lot of residents in other fields, and and practitioners of all experience and ages and where they are, and I think education is really what we do, and what we love to do, and what I think we do best. So to have those different types of conversations and split them up and dive deeper, I think will be great, and we're happy to be a part of it. We're happy to go more and more into it, and like you said, there's new responsibilities for everybody, whether you're just graduating or you've been in practice for 30 years, but there's new things to learn now with everything that's going on. So we'll happily educate on that and advise where we can on that. And like I said, we put out articles constantly and webinars and do Q&As when we can. So we'll share all that stuff with you and for you. And then I'll get back to a point, but I want to answer Kimberly's question. So what is your opinion? I think maybe you mean on starting as a Escort versus LLC with Escort pass-through. So the structure that I think our firm, we believe, and probably most attorneys and even a lot of CPAs these days, when it comes to practitioners who are either solo in practice or a small group, they're going to look towards utilizing that LLC structure for a number of reasons. One, the LLC laws in Florida are very favorable to what's called multi-member LLCs when it comes to liability protection for its members. So in an LLC, you have members. You can have a single member, which is one person, or anything 2 and above is a multiple member LLC. So Florida says multiple member LLCs, their members are not liable for the debts or the creditors of the LLC. So there's the LLC and then the members, and they're separate for all intents and purposes, as long as you do things correctly. And I'll dive into that a little bit. But the LLC is pretty easy to run and operate. There's less sort of corporate compliance you've got to adhere to than with the corporation or the Inc. Structure. It's usually more flexible in how you amend it and how you change it and what's required of it. So I would say my preference is always the LLC. My preference our firm's preference is probably always the LLC for most things. And it's multiple member if you can, because you get better protection on liability, meaning, if the member is, operating the business as they normally would, and they've got a lease agreement, or they've got they're financing equipment for some reason, that individual, unless they sign a personal guarantee, isn't going to be responsible for the debt of the company. Only if you act outside of sort of your role in the LLC do you expose yourself with the LLC. So the laws are really favorable. They're really strong towards protection and limited liability. And the other great thing, and this leads into the rest of your question, is with Escort taxation. So you can elect how the members are taxed in an LLC, and you can change it pretty easily. And it's flexible. So you can kind of have the best of both worlds. You can have the taxation structure of an S-Corp with the liability protection of an LLC and the flexibility there, whether you have one member or a dozen members. So the S-Corp tax election, I think, is great for the classic provider. You got business deductions and expenses you can take, and there's other short-term things that are out there that your CPA can hopefully help you utilize and take advantage of in the right ways. And I think that's great for people who are in business. So hopefully, I know that was a long-winded answer. There's kind of a lot. It's a heavy question with the LLC stuff, but I think the LLC S-Corp is really a good way to go when you're starting out that way. The next question from Michelle: how do I protect my personal assets from my business? You're concerned if you're ever sued. So I think a lot of the answer was there in the LLC issue. If you're a single member LLC, meaning you're the only person that owns your LLC, you have to be really careful with how you operate your business, and that's because in the eyes of the law, a single member LLC can sometimes just be seen as disregarded, kind of as a facade to the person who's acting behind it. So you have to be careful with that. As a licensed provider, if you are performing services, you're always going to have some level of exposure because you're the one that's actually performing the services. So where the corporation comes in to protect you otherwise is for kind of everything else that can happen liability-wise in a business. So I mentioned corporate formalities with the LLC, and there's ones for an S-Corp as well. And I see you mentioned that you've got an S-Corp set up. So making sure that you operate the business as a business and not just as your sort of personal bank account or something that's personal to you. You really want to show separation between the two as much as they can be kind of seen as one. So the more separation you can show is great. One thing I always say is, if you have an S-Corp and you're the president of your corporation, when you go sign a check for, you're buying, goods, or you're buying, or you're going to lease a space or something like that, make sure when you sign it, you designate that, you are, write your name and then comma president, or if you're in the LLC, you might be the manager or a member. So write, comma manager, comma member, and make it really clear that when you're signing something, a contract or a lease or a check, that you're signing it, on behalf of your S-Corp or on your LLC. So that's one little thing, formality that I think can help establish separation. Protecting your assets otherwise is, more personal question too of, how your assets are held. So, there's kind of a few ways to protect them. One is kind of with what the law says. Two is with, corporations and, trust and things like that. And three is just with, how you title things. So, what the law says is, your homestead, your house, your primary residence is going to be protected from just about every creditor, regardless of value. So, as long as you establish that homestead, meaning you live in one place and it's your primary residence for more than, half the year, by law, you're going to have protections that way. The other way to protect assets are with LLCs or corporations, whether that be a savings account or retirement account or bank account. You can put those into a multiple member, LLC, whether you've got siblings or husband, wife, spouse, whoever. You can set these things up to create, I like to call them, just little boxes. So all of your assets can be in different boxes, separate from your business. Keep your business bank account separate from your personal bank account. Just be really careful with co-mingling. And then lastly, there's titling things you can do, and that goes back to the personal level of how you title, like your deed on your house or your car, who owns your car and who's driving it, and things like that. So that's a big conversation to have. I think there's definitely a way to help protect your personal assets, even when you're a single member LLC or a solo owner on a business. Just setting things up correctly and avoiding commingling is the way. And then lastly is, insurance. It can be expensive, but that's what you're paying for is legal counsel for defense of a lawsuit of different types, whether it's a slip and fall or workers' comp or employment issue, or a malpractice issue or negligence. So that's one way. And it also provides what's called indemnification, which is a payout or a settlement or the payment of damages if you go through court and have an issue with that. So there's a whole web of things we can get into with personal asset protection, and I think it's important, and I think it's sometimes overlooked with people who just open up a business and then go run it. Sometimes you neglect your personal stuff. So whether it's an attorney or a financial advisor or a CPA to talk with about making sure things are set up right, properly titled, structured, that's a big part of the conversation. And you build and build your practice, and you put a lot into it, and it gives you a lot, but you want to make sure you protect it if something happens. So don't just focus on the business, but focus on how it works kind of in your whole plan. So I think that might be a good topic maybe for us to do a deeper webinar on, or even an article. So we'd love to do that. And then David, there was you mentioned something else about the education that I wanted to let you guys know. We've actually already put together a landing page on our website. And Natalia, I think, did we send it to you to share on
Yes,
the website as well?
Mm-hmm. I have the link here. I'm going to share it with you all in our chat box. But if you want, I can also open it up on my web browser if you want.
Whatever you
walk
like. Yeah, we can go through. Maybe we can go through. We'll do kind of a quick look at it so you can see. And our plan for it is, you'll see there's a few articles up there right now, but our plan for it is to continue to put out, whether it's updates on the industry, or topics like this, SCorp versus LLC, or how do I protect personal assets, or when there's issues with your lease agreement or an employee issue or things like that. We're going to put together more articles, and we'll do live webinars and things like that for you, so you have it all. So the page is still being built out, but there's there's some content on there right now. So yeah, the link Natalia sent is there. We'll make sure it gets emailed out as well. But we're going to continue to build this and just have content. If you go through the rest of our website too, you'll see that there's just years of content in the blog. We put out downloads. Anytime we do a webinar, we'll upload it to the website so you can have access to it again. Those are always free. And the blog here, this is every topic possible. So I think it's a great resource. We also will collaborate with other industry experts on things that we don't do. So, for example, there's some blog post on here from a commercial real estate agent who only works with healthcare businesses on leasing or buying property or space. So there's some topics on there to read through when you're going through lease negotiations or renegotiations. We work with some people who do valuations for businesses. So we're putting together a few joint blog posts with them too. So I think it's, the website itself is a great resource for a lot of things. We're going to have a dedicated page to you that you saw, and we'll continue to post things there. Here we've got, we put together, checklists and downloads and things like that. I think most of them are free. They probably are all free, as you can see. It's the business people in us. It's always a sale, but it's content that you can have, use, print out, and quick references or quick checklists and things like that. So as we develop more and more, there will be things that apply to your world, and will hopefully be sort of a guide that you can have on reference and quickly look at and things like that. So I think that'll be a great resource and kind of fun thing to do and put together.
And you had said that on this landing page in the future, as you guys work on it and continue to build it, articles and acupuncture specific things will be on this landing page. Yeah, so this landing page will be acupuncture specific. And obviously we're still building it out, one, kind of on what we think is important, but two, once we get some more collaboration, we'll answer those questions and put those put those on there. Like I said, webinar specific stuff that we do for you, we'll have it on there. And then I was telling Natalia this, and we hope it's a good way to get information across, but I do kind of these weekly video check-ins where I'll get on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever it is, and we'll just answer a quick question. So if it's kind of things like what you're asking here, we'll throw those up there, get you a 30-second to a minute video, quick education, and just kind of have that access to always go back to. So we'll post those on the webpage as well. I think that'll be really helpful. Yeah, and we talked about doing member exclusives on the Facebook page as well, with these different videos and live streams that we can do. So there's a lot that you guys are going to be seeing more of Chase, and getting to know him better, and having more opportunities to just engage and ask your questions and things that come up for you.
Yeah, and I think we even talked about once the world of COVID changes back to somewhat of a normal place, we're going to hopefully have some in-person like roundtables, and really if it's an hour or 2 hours, and we'll provide some breakfast and open up our office, but we'll talk about some real deep things and get into how to continue to push the field forward and change it to how you as the members want it to be and to see, and however we can help with that. I know, Natalia, we had a real deep conversation with Jeff, he's the founder of our firm, but we had a really deep conversation about policy making and changing, and kind of what that looks like, and the depth of time and resources that takes to push forward. So from real simple 30-second questions, answers, all the way to that stuff, we're putting together a lot of options and opportunities for you as resources. So I think it'll be a really great thing to do.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. So stay tuned. Make sure you follow us on social media and you sign up for our email list. And that way you will be notified of all the future events and collaboration that will be coming up between FSOMA and the Florida Healthcare Law Firm.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw my email address in here, and Natalia, you can share it with whoever, whoever else needs it, wasn't able to come. But you've got our website. You can shoot me an email. We'll get you on our mailing list too, so you can get our newsletter. I think we do a monthly newsletter, and anytime we do an update on, like Natalia said, on the website or Instagram or LinkedIn or things like that, you'll get access to that stuff too. So feel free to reach out. The last thing I think I don't think I mentioned yet, but I was telling Natalia, we're putting together some different packages of sort of services and pricing models and things like that too, for you as members. So to further sweeten the membership is, you've also got a better access to me and the firm. We'll put together some good pricing and ways to get you the information you need, the services you need, that won't be available to non-members and others. So we're looking forward to rolling that out over the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Joseph says he's going to be reaching out to you in regards to leasing and landlord.
Sure.
There's, if you guys saw on that homepage, the landing page, actually, let me share it again. There's an article that they already put up. If you can see here, lease considerations for acupuncture practices. And
yeah, and
that might be a good place to start as well. If any of you out there are having to have these challenging or interesting conversations with your landlords.
Yeah, and especially with COVID, I know things are a little bit different. There's a lot going on with that. So we've seen a lot happen over the last few months, obviously, and we know that with Florida kind of opening back up, I think landlords are going to be a little bit more aggressive with how they're dealing with their tenants. So, or if you're a landlord, how you're going to need to deal with tenants and things like that. So we're happy to help. I know, there's the content on the webpage, so feel free to look through it all. And then whatever questions you have, just reach out. You've got my email address. That's really the best way to reach me. I'm available by phone too, but I'm on my email constantly, and I'm pretty responsive there. So if you've got questions or an issue, we can get back to you that way. And Kimberly, yeah, business startup package. So that's something that we're working on. Kind of a here's what you need to get going. On a flat fee sort of basis. So we're putting that together, packaging it all up, and we'll have some more details to that soon. And we'll probably share it through Natalia and the team there, so you guys can get all that and have the appropriate access.
Yeah, we're so looking forward to it, and I'm already thinking of a couple of things that we can collaborate and do with, additional to everything that we've already talked about and shared. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we're very excited. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask now. If it's a more personal one, then you've got my email. Shoot it out to me, and we'll be happy to get that answered and help you. And if you want us to share it later on, we can with everybody else if you think it'll be helpful. So.
Yes, and David, actually, I was going to open your mic so you can say some final words. If not, okay, he says, great introduction and start for tonight, so thanks so much.
That's it. I'm not going to take any more airtime. I just wanted to say it was nice to meet you, and thank you for your time and willingness to lean in tonight. Okay.
Definitely. Definitely.
I appreciate it, and we'll follow up with again a little bit more contour to help unpack this relationship going forward, so you guys feel like you're not in the dark trying to find ways to educate us. There is a short list of things we need to brush up on, so we'll be bringing it to you. Thanks so much.
We'd love that. Thank you, David. Thanks everybody. And, you know, to repeat on what David said, you know, whatever you guys need, you know, we're happy to help. We've got the resources and, you know, the skills to apply it. So we're here, and we're looking forward to, you know, being your resource whenever you need it.
Thank you. Thank you, David, for chiming in and hanging out with us. And thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight, for asking your questions. And most importantly, thank you for your continued support. FSOMA is a nonprofit association for you, and we exist because of you, and you all inspire us. So thank you so much again for making FSOMA possible. And Chase, thank you for being here with us tonight. And I'm going to send you an email once we're done, because I have a couple questions and ideas that we can work on. All right, guys,
Sounds
everyone.
Good.
Good night. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.